What was your experience being diagnosed with heart failure? So I was diagnosed at the age of 41 while training for my seventh marathon, which is to say that my very first reaction was shock. Aside from shock, because I believed myself healthy, I went into denial. The denial caused me to decide that I could health my way out of it. I believed that I was practicing a healthy lifestyle, so probably if I just tweaked that healthy lifestyle a little bit, that I could treat it, fix it, and move on with my life. And then the last thing I went into was a sense of fear. Um, Heart failure had always been something I associated with death, and so I became very fearful, particularly of my own mortality. So I went through all of those emotions pretty much on the very first day of diagnosis within, I would say, the course of 45 minutes. They continued, they persisted for a bit into diagnosis, for a couple of years into diagnosis, and sometimes come up again still. But my initial feeling was shock, and then it was this idea that I now understand was denial, but I didn't really believe that I was going to help myself out of it. Um, and and then I went into fear mode, but luckily I had a support system and I had clinicians who helped me to not think of it as a death sentence. How have available health treatment options affected your life since diagnosis? Since diagnosis, I've been treated with medication, of course, as well as mechanical device. I have an ICD. So, one of the good things about the ICD is that it helped to reduce the fear that was so much a part of my initial diagnosis, because I understood that I had this sort of insurance policy in my body. The medications have impacted my life in the sense that they've certainly improved my heart function, and they've allowed me to continue the lifestyle that I enjoyed before. That is, I am still able to run, not as far, not as fast. So that is one of the impacts, is kind of getting used to what my body is able to do with the intervention. I was a bit faster. I had a bit more stamina before diagnosis, and while I was actually in heart failure but not knowing it. Since having the medicine, it slowed me down a bit. So that's one of the ways that the medication has impacted me. But the most positive way is that these medications, this mechanical device, have given me a great deal of hope, and they've taken away that sort of sense of impending doom that I experienced in the initial stages of my diagnosis. What are some of the activities that medications have enabled you to do, and how do you feel when you're doing them? So, the medications have allowed me to do the thing that it has been most important to me, which is running. I still love to run. I still run regularly. I do not run as far or as fast, but that's been very important. That was important to me from the outset. Will I be able to continue to run? I would ask my clinicians. The way that I feel when I do them is a sense of accomplishment, certainly, but moreover, a sense of gratitude. Um, because I didn't know if I would be able to continue running, because running is such a part of an integral part of my lifestyle. It was really important that I was going to need to find something to replace it if I wasn't able to do it. So I'm grateful every time that I get out and am able, to get out and run, because running reminds me that I'm alive. I feel very alive when I do it. I definitely don't feel the same way that I used to when I do it, because it requires a bit more effort. But even with that effort, I feel very grateful that I'm able to do it, and that I'm able to be here to do it. And so I would say what I feel when I experience it, when I go out and do it, is a sense of gratitude. How active are you in treatment with your care team? So with my care team, we are very much a team. They treat me as a person and not a patient. And so we talk a lot about what my lifestyle looks like, what my days look like, so that we can talk too about what treatment looks like in regards to those things. It's really important to me that they understand. Um, they understand me. They understand what's important to me. They understand the things that I want to be able to do so that we can coordinate treatment accordingly. So my doctors have been very proactive in that regard, very responsive in that regard, and I'm super grateful for them. Are you interested in new treatment options or new things that you might do to improve your life with heart failure? Absolutely. I research often and look at a lot of the new studies out, especially with the regeneration of heart tissue. And I often bring them up to my clinicians to ask them, am I a candidate? Is this something that you all are thinking about? Because my entire clinical team are a group of researchers as well. So they're not just clinicians, they also do a great deal of research in the field. And so I often bring these ideas up to them. For the most part, I've never been a candidate for any of these new treatments, but I'm constantly keeping my hand on the pulse so that in case I am, I can be proactive in asking my clinicians, asking my team, my care team, about perhaps getting me into that treatment option in case they haven't already decided to do that or haven't already identified me as a candidate for it. What would you say to researchers and companies who are on the front lines developing new treatment options for heart failure? To researchers, to clinicians, to those who are on the front lines of developing new therapies, I would say listen to your patients, always involve the patient. Oftentimes I think that oftentimes the patient voice, I should say, is left out of the conversation, and often the conversation is about prolonging life and that sort of thing. But what's more important, I think, to most of us as patients is the quality of our lives. And so the patient always knows the best thing to talk about, the best treatments, the best ideas, because they're the ones who are living not only with the condition, but also with the treatment options that are available. So they're very clear on what the side effects and what issues they bring and how they affect their quality of life. So I would say to companies who are doing the research, who are developing the new options, the new mechanisms, and so forth, to listen to the patients. Always bring the patient voice in. Think that you'll get a much better result. You'll know exactly what it is that you need to be researching if you just listen to us, the patients.